Hi, I'm Peter Prevos, and I'll be talking about Emacs Writing Studio. I'm a water engineer, a social scientist, and I dabble in theatrical magic. And for each of those endeavors, I do a lot of writing. I take notes, I write reports, articles, books, and websites. I use Emacs for all my research, my writing, and my publishing. Emacs Writing Studio is an opinionated starter kit for authors who write for humans, not for programmers who write for computers. And it consists of a configuration, some bespoke functions, but are not yet a package, a website, and a book. And the book is completely written with EWS itself. The target audience are authors who are frustrated with using commercial software and hopping from application to application to achieve an objective. So these are people without any Emacs experience or coding skills. And the objective is to teach these people how to use Emacs, not how to configure Emacs to manage a complete writing project. So why did I write a book about Emacs when the documentation is already so extensive? Most Emacs documentation focuses on configuration, burying potential new users with choices, and it forces people to work on Emacs instead of with Emacs, and it quickly can become a productivity sink. Emacs is the ultimate free software platform, but with its freedom also comes a price. And Barry Schwartz wrote about the paradox of choice, which is about the dramatic explosion in choices in the modern world. Just think about the amount of effort it can take to decide what cereal to buy in the supermarket that you haven't been before. So many different choices. And paradoxically, that's become a problem instead of a solution. And Emacs can perhaps suffer from the same issue. So another objective, using a COVID-19 trope, EWS is about flattening the curve. That is, the learning curve, by making these choices for the new Emacs user and avoiding the paradox. So what about this EWS configuration? I decided to stay as close as humanly bearable to vanilla Emacs. And I say that tongue-in-cheek, but also with some realism. Centered around org mode and the node for note-taking and citas for accessing bibliographies and other convenience packages such as Vertigo for mini buffer completion. There's a dictionary, thesaurus, and some other packages that are of interest to authors. EWS uses the standard keyboard shortcuts. Writing is much more about thinking than about maximizing the amount of words per minute. And just think about that the most used function for authors is self-insert. There's no need to use fancy keyboard shortcut systems when you write prose. So how did I go about developing Emacs? I declared Emacs bankruptcy, like we all have every now and then. And I decided to write this book with vanilla Emacs and only configure the system as was required. So the first thing I did, I hooked visual line mode to text mode, and off I went. And the configuration grew as the need arose. And I was actually surprised with how far you can get with just using vanilla Emacs. And I also developed two packages to enhance how I can use the node. Now let's get to a demo. EWS is based on a typical research and writing workflow. First step is you need to get some inspiration. And usually we do that by reading, by watching, by listening. Then the next step is ideation. You develop your ideas, summarize ideas from other people, write down your own ideas, and for that you need a note-taking system. EWS also talks about managing bibliographies. The third step is production. This is the actual writing process where, in this case, the EWS book. And once that is finished, we convert this org mode file into something that can be published. So that might be an ebook in an EPUB format or PDF for the interior of a paperback book, or perhaps as an ebook as well. And there's also configuration in Emacs to produce MS Word documents if you need to collaborate with other people. So let's jump in to Emacs and walk through this workflow, give you a very quick demonstration of what's in the box. So the first step in the EWS workflow is inspiration. We all stand on the shoulders of each other. Some giants, most of them are normal people. We get inspiration by reading, listening, and watching. And Emacs can help you access text, sound, and video. It depends on external software, and Emacs acts as a beautiful interface, and EWS helps you with the configuration. But we also need a tool to manage our electronic library. And BibTeX and CETA package by Bruce Tarkos provides a perfect interface to manage his literature. So if I open my bibliography here, you see that I've got 1864 references in my bibtext files. And there's a whole bunch of stuff about, I guess, the weird things that I read. Let's look for Emacs, right? Because that's a joint interest that we have. And let's open here this paper by Markus Birkenauer, who did some research using Emacs to teach data science. And data science is my day job, so that had my interest. So we have here a denote file, which I'll talk about in a second. There's a library file, which is a PDF, but it could be a whole collection of different files in different formats, even video or sound. We can create a new denote file, or there's a link to the document object identifier. So let's go to the PDF, and here we can now do our reading, so we can get our inspiration by what Marcus has written here about teaching data science with literary programming tools. Next step is ideation. Taking notes is the core of all creativity. When I read that paper, I might want to copy some ideas, I might get some of my own ideas, and I need to write that down. I basically write everything in a paper notebook, but then I transfer the things that are worth keeping to the denote note-taking system. Now, there are many systems that exist out there that promise you note-taking heaven when you just follow a certain process. And my advice, don't worry about Zettelkasten, Para, or whatever is out there. Just write your notes and worry about structure and all that later. Even Niklas Luhmann, the inventor of Zettelkasten, called his system a septic tank of ideas. I call my collection of notes a primordial soup from which my books emerge. Now, Denote by Prevos is a flexible note-taking system that can implement any of the popular methods. And I transfer thousands of files to this format, so all my information is at my fingertips. So we can jump to the Denote directory. And in my case, that's document notes. And we see here the marvel that is Denote, which is its ingenious file naming convention that has a timestamp, a title, and some, what do we call them, tags or categories, which are whatever you please. So this is a very quick way to find things. Then there is an EWS diet narrow function, and for example, I can find anything underscore EWS means anything that has the EWS tag, and there we go, it's narrowed down in my EWS notes. Now, this is all very well, but I also decided to write a package called denote-explore, which helps us sort of explore these collections of notes. And one of the fancy things we can do is do some visualization. So let's go to the network function and create a community of notes. So community is a collection of notes that match a regular expression, underscore EWS. So all the nodes here that are on this list, the ones with the EWS tag. And in a second, my browser pops up, and I shall move that to my other window in a second. There we go. So denote-explore creates a SVG file, and it creates an arrow between all the nodes that are linked. It puts a title up there when the node has more than 2 links going in or out. And we can also click on the node to read it in the browser if you choose. If you set up Firefox properly, I'm sure it can also go into Emacs. So this is the note taking that's available within EWS. Now, we've taken all these notes. Now we need to start writing stuff. And org mode, for me, is the ideal tool. Org mode is what you see is what you mean. The text and the syntax instruct the computer on how to produce the final result. And this means that one file can become many different formats. An ebook, a printed book, or a website. It doesn't matter. Now, a lot of people talk about what you see, what you get, and that we should have a what you see, what you get mode in Emacs. I think that's irrelevant, because showing the final result while you're writing is actually a distraction. Traditional writing, producing the content, and designing the layout and typesetting are separate processes done by different professionals. In Emacs Writing Studio, the writing is still done by a human. There are no provisions for large language models in EWS. But layout and typesetting is done by external software, be it CSS, LaTeX, or XML, all mediated by org mode. And EWS also has some other tools for case conversion, thesaurus, and a dictionary that I haven't got time to show. But what I will show you is how the book functions and then how we create these publications. Okay, let's go to my project file. So these are the EWS chapters, and each chapter is an org mode file. Let's go into the main document, which is set up with Olivetti mode, just to make it easier to read. And what we see here is all the fluff from org mode. So this is these are all the various bits of metadata that I used to create the final result. And then for each chapter, I have an inclusion. So this references another file. I've got some properties. In this case, the forward is unnumbered. There's some notes. In this case, Prot, he actually wrote this for me, so that we can jump into that text. And then what we see at the bottom here is some inclusions for HTML. This is the EPUB version, but it's different in LaTeX. So again, the same file can serve different purposes. So now let's, as the final part of this demonstration, actually create the book, because the book's freely available. You can download the source files from GitHub, and you can roll your own. Okay, so let's open the dispatcher. We'll export the LaTeX, and we want to open the file. Now this takes a minute because there's a lot happening within all this this code. So I'll shorten this video and I'll be silent now. And there we are. This is the Emacs Writing Studio PDF version, which will eventually become the interior for the paperback version. So the EWS book is available in all major ebook shops, and I'm also working on a paperback, which I hope to finish when Emacs 30 comes out. But the org mode files that I use to produce the book, they're available in the GitHub repository, so you can also roll your own, because the EWS configuration is the one that I use to produce the book. Now, some conclusions from this journey is that the best way to learn is to teach. So that was my personal objective, and I learned a lot from systematically working out how to implement the EWS workflow. One of the surprising things I learned is the heavy reliance on external software throughout the writing process. So I spent a lot of time in the book about explaining these connections, that Emacs is not just a text processor, it is also an interface with other software. Now, future developments, as I mentioned, there will be a paperback version of the book when Emacs 30 comes out, and I might reconfigure things a little bit. I'm only planning to update the configuration when packages break or with another major Emacs release, because I want to work with Emacs, not work on Emacs. Now, a big thank you to Prot Striver, who helped me with the denote packages, and he also wrote the foreword to the book. There's also several test readers that I met through Mastodon that helped me out quite a bit. And of course, all the Emacs and package developers, without which none of this would exist. So thank you all for your attention, and I look forward to your questions and suggestions.